Welcome to DNA Amplification, How to Get Legacy Devices to IVDR Compliance, part of the white paper series in Management Education by Skilled MBA. As the EU's In Vitro Diagnostic Regulation, or IVDR, replaces the previous directive, IVD manufacturers must scale their systems and evidence to meet stricter regulatory expectations. Much like DNA replication, success under IVDR depends on accuracy, structure, and amplification. This session explores how to bring legacy diagnostic devices, many of which were self-certified, into alignment with the complex, evidence-based framework of the IVDR. This guide supports IVD manufacturers in navigating the shift from IVDD to IVDR. It provides a strategic transition pathway, clarity on regulatory changes, a metaphor for scaling compliance, DNA amplification, real-world solutions to common transition barriers. The goal is simple: help legacy devices remain on the market, compliantly, efficiently, and competitively. Why DNA amplification? Because transitioning to IVDR requires scaling up multiple systems, evidence, documentation, validation, just as DNA replication involves accurate, exponential copying. Amplify compliance infrastructure. Ensure evidence, precision. Replicate systems to fit new standards. Legacy processes that once worked under IVDD are now insufficient. You must amplify and adapt with speed, structure, and scientific rigor. This white paper is built around 4 clear goals. 1. Understand regulatory shifts, clarify what changed, and why IVDR is more demanding than IVDD. 2. Provide a transition pathway offer, actionable guidance for updating legacy systems and documentation. 3. Identify common gaps. Help manufacturers pinpoint where they fall short in evidence, structure, or systems. 4. Share best practice strategies. Empower teams to stay on the market and remain competitive. This guide translates regulatory language into a roadmap for action. The leap from IVDD to IVDR is significant. Element IVDD, IVDR scope, narrow broader, more devices regulated. Classification, self-certification, common risk-based, classes A to D, clinical evidence limited, detailed performance evaluations, notified body involvement. Rare required for 35% of devices, post-market surveillance minimal strong PMS, and follow-up obligations. For legacy devices, this means full requalification is often needed. This white paper dives into several high-priority topics for manufacturers. Transition deadlines, key IVDR compliance dates and penalties for non-compliance. Classification, how to reclassify legacy IVDs under the IVDR's risk-based model. Performance evaluation, what studies and data are required. Technical documentation, how to structure content under Annex 2 and 3. Each topic is backed by actionable insights and regulatory alignment. The biggest challenges in this transition include incomplete clinical evidence. Older devices often lack documented performance evaluations. Misaligned technical files. Files built under IVDD do not meet Annex 2 structure. Notified body bottlenecks. Limited capacity causes long assessment queues. Resource constraints. Smaller firms often lack in-house IVDR expertise. Successfully navigating the IVDR requires preparation, prioritization, and resourcing. To overcome these challenges, adopt the following steps. Conduct a gap analysis benchmark current documentation against IVDR standards. Develop a performance evaluation plan. Include scientific validity, analytical performance, and clinical performance. Prepare compliant documentation structure files according to Annex 2 and 3, with traceable, justifiable evidence. Engage with notified bodies, early secure assessment slots, and align expectations before formal submission. The metaphor of DNA amplification captures 3 core ideas: Amplify compliance, expand systems, processes, and documentation, from point solutions to structured programs. Ensure accuracy. Just like DNA replication, IVDR documentation requires precision. One error can cause a cascade of review issues. Scale legacy processes, update outdated tools, study designs, and formats to match today's requirements. It's about evolving, not replacing, your regulatory DNA. This case has broad relevance. For MBA students, learn how regulation reshapes innovation study, how compliance and strategy intersect, explore operational risks in healthcare systems. For faculty, use in courses on medical device strategy, assign as a regulatory transformation case study. Teach how policy affects business models. For professionals, improve risk management and submission planning. Align product and regulatory roadmaps. Strengthen go-to-market and evidence strategies. Under IVDR, PMS is not an afterthought. It's a core compliance element. Data collection. Gather real-world use data systematically, from complaints to clinical registries. Analysis, review trends and performance signals for safety and efficacy. Reporting. Submit periodic safety update reports, PASURs, and PMCF documentation. Implementation. Feed insights back into risk files, labeling, and future studies. Ongoing surveillance is mandatory and strategic. Success with notified bodies hinges on 5 steps. 1. Selection. Choose a NB experienced in your device category. 2. Early engagement. Start dialogue well before submission. 3. Pre-submission meeting. Clarify expectations and align documentation scope. 4. Formal submission. Submit clean, indexed, and structured documentation. 5. Assessment process. Respond quickly to reviewer questions and audit requests. A proactive relationship reduces time, friction, and cost. Here's what the IVDR compliance roadmap looks like. 2022, regulation became effective. 2025, Class D devices, highest risk deadline. 2026, Class C devices, medium-high risk deadline. 2027, Class B and A devices must comply. For many legacy devices, the clock is ticking, and delays risk losing EU market access. Your PEP must include 4 elements. Scientific validity. Prove a known relationship between analyte and condition. Analytical performance. Provide repeatability, specificity, and limit of detection data. Clinical performance. Show test accuracy in the intended patient population and clinical context. Post-market follow-up plan for continuous learning after certification. This framework transforms performance claims into regulatory-ready evidence. Under IVDR, technical documentation must follow Annex 2. Device description include purpose, classification, and design, risk management, detail hazard analysis and mitigation strategies, performance evidence, link claims to study results and statistical analyses, labeling and IFUs, provide content for users, regulators, and patients. Post-market planning. Integrate surveillance protocols and expected outcomes. Think of Annex 2 not as a form, but a storyline of safety, performance, and traceability. Let's close with 3 clear imperatives for every IVD manufacturer navigating IVDR. Evolve or exit. Legacy devices must evolve to meet new regulatory demands. The IVDR is not optional. It's the new baseline. Non-compliance risks market withdrawal, reputational damage, and lost revenue. Opportunity, not just hurdle. Yes, IVDR is demanding, but it's also an opportunity to build stronger, safer, and more trusted diagnostics. This is your chance to modernize systems, elevate quality, and strengthen your long-term market position. Download now. We invite you to download the full Skilled MBA Guide to IVDR Transformation, your complete playbook for aligning evidence, teams, and tools to the DNA of this regulatory shift. The future belongs to those who scale responsibly, document rigorously, and act strategically. Thank you for joining us for DNA Amplification. How to Get Legacy Devices to IVDR Compliance, presented as part of the White Paper Series in Management Education by Skilled MBA. As diagnostics evolve, so must our approach to evidence, compliance, and clinical value. We hope this session has offered clarity, structure, and inspiration to lead your organization through regulatory transformation, confidently and compliantly. Let's move forward, not just with devices that work, but with systems we trust.